Okay, second question. So the second question here is about the relationship between my digital work and any larger historical scholarship. And I guess my first response there is that I don't necessarily think I have a larger body of historical scholarship. I think different from a lot of the folks working in digital history, one of my primary interests is in born digital historical primary sources, and so in that case, a lot of the writing that I've worked on has been more focused on close reading of born digital sources as part of sort of historical research. So in that sense, it's a little different than folks who are, say, creating exhibitions or sort of putting up digital collections related to their projects on the web, and then they're sort of doing a print project to begin with. Or other folks who are using sort of text mining or data analysis tools on their research projects. So, for example, I did a project. One of the papers that I'm rather happy with was a study of looking at Yelp reviews of the Albert Einstein Memorial in Washington, D.C., right outside the National Academy of Sciences. And I took together the sort of archival materials they had at the National Academy and sort of worked out the history you would tell based on those, and then brought in materials from Yelp and TripAdvisor, these sort of places where people are talking about their experiences with the monument. And so in that case, I sort of looked at the different kinds of stories you'd tell, mixing together that archival material with material from something, assuming that we still have things like Yelp and TripAdvisor around in the future. It'll be a really amazing resource for getting a sense of how people thought about and used these sorts of spaces. So aside from that, I also do some work on historical narrative itself in new media. So particularly video games. I write for a blog called Play the Past that is largely about interpreting video games. So a great example in this case would be I have a series of posts on there where I and a colleague, Rebecca Muir, wrote about how the game Colonization, a game related to civilization, but one in which you sort of replay European powers colonizing the Americas, and exploring how sort of the mechanics of that game allow for particular kinds of storytelling. And so in that case, sort of studying new media objects as primary sources again. And then the last area that I do a fair bit of work in is actually looking at how historians' research practices are changing. And so, again, I guess in my case, the larger body of historical scholarship, I don't really have one. My interests are really very, very much focused on digital history itself.